Assalamu alaikum and welcome to our new talk based on the series Journey from Classical to Postmodern Philosophers. Today our talk is about the person who is the sea of knowledge, he is the ocean of mysticism, he is the guide for the saints and has the greatest influence ever on all the communities and the greatest name in Indian sainthood. Today we are talking about Hazrat KHAWJA, KHAWJAgan, Sanjari, Ajmeri, CHISTI Rahmatullahi alayh. The talk is divided into first the genealogy, the spiritual dynasty and his events. So he is the sea of knowledge, he is the ocean of mysticism. He is the born saint, Mother Zat Wili. First, we like to praise with some verses in the praise of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Then we'll continue our talk. It reminds me the verses from Fazil Bareilly, Hazrat Ala Hazrat Rahmatullahi alayh. He says, "Wo Shab-e Mehraj, wo Shab-e Mehraj, wo सफ़े महशर का ताज, वो शबे महराज, वो सफ़े महशर का ताज, कोई भी ऐसा हुआ तुम पे करो दरूद, तुहता फला रूहता फराहल मरा, तुहता फला रूहता फराहल मरा, उदलिया उदल हना तुम पे करो दरूद, उदलिया उदल Hana tumpe karoru durud." And some of the verses from one of the Kashmiri poets, he says, Rasul Mir, Khatibas Khatchnali Bubali Zolnas, Khatibas Khatchnali Bubali Zolnas, Mekurnam Dil Bubali Zolnas, Zagesu Chis Avezan, Natema Ishq Pechan, Karamo Yestzulan, Zulf Zanjir Nali, Khatibas Khatch Nali, Bubali Zolanas. These verses were in praise. First it was about Mihraj. It reminds me some of my own verses, and then we'll continue the talk. Pahadan Malaiko log one mun ya Muhammad, Malaiko log one mun ya Muhammad, पहाड़न जिक्र लेजस या मोहम्मद, पलाई को लोग वन मन या मोहम्मद, पहाड़न जिक्र लेजस या मोहम्मद, लुको फरियाद को रज रही बंदिश, तिमो तैदिस शहादत सुई मोहम्मद. It was when it was the event of Miraj and mountains, the angels, they started, I would say, praising Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, zikr and the praises for Prophet. At the same time, people went to the biblical priests and it complained about that he claims about this spiritual journey. And they informed them that he is the same person who is mentioned, the same prophet who is mentioned in their sacred books. And Hazrat KHAWJA, KHAWJAgan, he was born in Sanjar. Sanjar is the part of Khurasan, then Khurasan, and that is, the part of Greater Iran. This place is the blessed place. And if you go and check the historical background of the people, you see the place is the blessed place because it's the abode of spirituality. It's the abode of the whole era around it is the abode of muhaddisins, the abode of those who are the masters of fiqh, the abode of aimas. So in that case, the place is very important because you see a lot of spiritual people before Hazrat KHAWJA, KHAWJAgan and after KHAWJA, KHAWJAgan in the same area. And we know that this abode was set by Hazrat Amirul Mu'mineen when he transferred his Darul Khilafah Hazrat KHAWJA was born in 537 Hijri, and Hijri, I would like to make it for the people who are not Muslims, that Hijri calendar in Muslims is related to the migration of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam from Makkah to Medina. That date stands to be the first Hijri, and that's our calendar. And this Sanjar Sharif, Hazrat KHAWJA, his father's name was Syed Gayasuddin Rahmatullahi Allah, who was the son of Syed Najmuddin, and Syed Najmuddin was the son of Syed Ibrahim Rahmatullahi Allah. He was the son of Syed Idris Rahmatullahi Allah. He was the son of Syed Imam Musa Qazim, and it goes now to Hazrat Imam Jafar Sadiq Rahmatullahi Allah, then to Muhammad Baqir, Sayyidina Imam Muhammad Baqir, and directly to Hazrat Sayyidina Zainul Abidin Rahmatullahi Allah. Now from mother's side, we have the name of mother was Wara, who was famous with the name of Mahnur, Bibi Mahnur. The name of her father was Hazrat Dawood alayhi rahmah. He was the son of Hazrat Abdullah, and he was the son of Hazrat Sayyid Zahid Rahmatullah Allah, who was the son of Muhammad Musa. He was the son of Abdullah Makfi, and he was the son of Hazrat Hassan. Now it goes directly to Hazrat Hussain, and then it goes to Amirul Mu'mineen. Now from both sides we have the dynasty, the Shajara. It ends there where there is Shahi Vilayat, Hazrat Aliul Murtaza radiyallahu ta'ala anhu wa salamun alayh. So it reminds me that again Jadd al-Kamali, Hazrat Ghaus Pak says that his grandparents, who are his grandparents, and same is the case with Hazrat KHAWJA, and you have to see who are the grandparents. From one side it's Hazrat Fatimatul Zahra radiyallahu ta'ala anha, and from another side it's Amirul Mu'mineen. And after that you see the first thing is this, that it's the Shajara links with Hazrat Muhammad Arabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the last and the seal of the prophets. Really, the Shajara is grand Shajara. Grandeur is that there are no heights to declare it in words. It reminds me as the Shajara ends there with the name of Hazrat Shahi Vilayat. So we need not worry, because the murids and those disciples and their murids, they are directly related to Hazrat Shahi Vilayat through silsila. And also it's the claim of Hazrat KHAWJA about his murids till doomsday, that they need not worry till his claim is fulfilled, that all his murids, true murids I would say, who are bound to the laws of the silsila, sharia, whatever, they will be inshallah, they will be blessed with the heaven by Allah. And it reminds me the verses of Hazrat Baba Dawood Khaki alayhi rahmah, who was the disciple of Hazrat Sultan al-Arifin, Sultan al-Kashmir Mahbub al-Alam. He also claims that he says to his murids like Hazrat KHAWJA that you don't worry, because when it's the day doomsday and people are thirsty, he says to them that you don't worry, because my note is tied with Hazrat Shahi Vilayat Rahmatullahi Allah. E Mashaik Ra Musalsal Andar Irshadu Adab. E Mashaik Raw Musalsal and then Irshadu Adab, Ta Nabiyullah Wasile Murtaza Haidar Shudast. That we have the intercession, we have a person who will take us to Hazrat Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam and his Hazrat Ali al-Murtaza. We have the hope for that. Then he says again, Gam nabayat kurd mara roze hashar az tishnagi. Gam nabayat kurd mara roze hashar az tishnagi. Mumbai silsila chun sakiye KHAWJA shudast. That means you need not to worry, because the master of Abi Kawthar, he has the knot with Shahi Vilayat, will be all given this elixir of life, the water from that sacred well, sacred spring. As it reminds me, because the link is directly to Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. It reminds me the verses of Hazrat Ali al-Murtaza, because name is mentioned here. He says the particular verse, Wakana lana kal hisni min duni ahlihi. Wakana lana kal hisni min duni ahlihi. Lahu ma killun hirzun harizun. Harizun min al-rawa. Harizun min al-rawa. Hazrat KHAWJA rahmatullahi alayh, only at the age of 9 years, I would like to give a comparative analysis first to the listeners, that maybe they have this belief that the early saints, the saints who were there, they were not learned saints. What about KHAWJA? Only when he was of 9 years age, the three things he studied, and his studies started there in his own home, and the first teachers, I would say, the first teachers were his parents. That his home was his first school, and his father was the first teacher, the academic teacher, I would say, because he was the famous, knowledgeable person and the saint of his era and then time. What he studied when he was of 9 years age, he was the Hafiz of the Quran. That means the first thing is there, the first clarification, that which needs not to be clarified because he's of that stature. That means we don't have words even to explain the states of Hazrat KHAWJA. That means he has the mantiq of the Quran, he has the knowledge of the Quran, he has the knowledge of the verses, he has the knowledge of the background of the verses, only at the age of 9 years. The second thing he studied till this period was the commentary about the Quran and the fiqh. So up to 15 years, he was complete in fiqh, means jurisprudence. He was complete in the commentaries of the Quran. He was the Hafiz of Quran, and he had studied Hadith. Now see, dear friends, listeners and all, nowadays you see some pseudo-scholars who claim to be the great and authentic, knowledgeable people only because they know some 100 hadiths, they know some 100 narrations of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. But what about this person who remembers the hadiths in lakhs? First the Sahihin, and then those hadiths, those narrations through different ravis, narrators, and you count them, you can count them till lakhs, and you will go on counting and it will not end. Such was the knowledge of these saints. So KHAWJA was not only a saint, but he was a learned saint, he was a great alim, he was a jurisprudent, he was having the knowledge of mantiq, he was having the logic, philosophical background of the verses. So that's why we call him, he was the real guide. Why? Let's see the era. When he was born, 537 till then, you see it's 5 centuries after Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. That means it was the 6th century, some 600 years after. And now see, till that period, we see the compilation of hadith was complete. You see the fiqh was complete. You see the era of aimas that was before Hazrat Khwaja Khwajagan. That means the Khwajagan was very well versed in those things which were propagated by Hazrat Imam Abu Hanifa alayhi rahmah, by Imam Ahmad bin Hanbal, by Imam Malik, and by Imam Shafi alayhi rahmah. And the place you have to see, Sanjar, the greater Iran, that place was the abode of the people. There were this was the place where you see the Christians, you see Jews, you see Parsis, you see people of other religions. And indirectly or directly, he was well versed in comparative religions as well, because this was the people who had relationship with Jews, with Christians, with all people's social relations. That means the knowledge of the books, or the biblical books, knowledge of other religions, that was there. The social interaction was there. That means he was well versed in dialogues, comparative discussions. Now, see that it reminds me that Hazrat Bibi Mahnur, she says that when her womb was blessed with the Khwaja Khwajagan, till starting from that time onwards, the blessings were there in the whole home. That means in the whole surroundings, and I think in the whole world. And she speaks about that in the womb there was zikr, there was meditation, and there was always the part of blessing she could feel. It was always with her from then onwards. Till Hazrat Khwaja Khwajagan was born, then the whole house was blessed with the merciful Almighty Allah. That such a blessed child was born, who happened to be the guide for the whole world onwards. Hazrat Khwaja Khwajagan had relationship with Hazrat Ghaus Pak radiyallahu ta'ala anhu, Sheikh Sayyid Abdul Qadir Jilani, Hussaini wa Hassani. And this name, with this name, Hazrat Ghaus Pak, it reminds me the verses, and I would like to dedicate these verses also to Hazrat Khwaja Khwajagan. Fazil Hazrat Ala Hazrat says, Wah kya martaba e Ghaus hai bala tera. Wah kya martaba e Ghaus hai bala tera. Unche unchun ke saron se kadam ala tera. Unche ऊंचों के सरों से कदम आला तेरा. क्या दबे जिस पे हिमायत का पंजा तेरा. शेर को खतरे में लाता नहीं कुत्ता तेरा. वाह वाह. काबा के बदरुदुजा तुम पे करोड़ों दुरूद. Allah Hazrat says at another place, Kaaba ke badru daja tum pe karoron durud, Taiba ke shamsud duha tum pe karoron durud. So this verse was in praise of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, but what he says about Ghaus Pak, that means Wakya martaba e Ghaus hai bala tera, unche unchun ke saron se kadam ala tera. Nisbat was with Hazrat Ghaus Pak. In one of the references, it is said that Hazrat Khwaja Khwajagan was the maternal cousin from the maternal aunt. He was the maternal cousin of Hazrat Ghaus Pak radiyallahu ta'ala anhu. And in another reference, it is said that Hazrat Khwaja Khwajagan was the maternal uncle of Hazrat Ghaus Pak radiyallahu ta'ala anhu. That means somehow nisbat was there. So we seek the blessings also that will be counted. If not, we are worthy to be counted among the murids of Hazrat Khwaja Khwajagan and Ghaus Pak. But still we expect, even if we are not worthy to be the dust of the dogs who are very dear to these saints. It reminds me Hazrat Najmuddin Kubra radiallahu ta'ala anhu, when he was in spiritual ecstasy one day, and he came out and he was on the door, and there was a dog, and he saw a dog, and dog was with that very spiritual sight. The whole chemistry of the dog was changed, and what happens? All dogs of the locality, they came and they started doing tawaf of this dog. This was the spiritual height of those saints. So, even if we are not worthy to be counted among those dogs who are near to their spiritual abodes, so we seek blessings, because we want to create nisbat with Hazrat Ghaus Pak and Hazrat KHAWJA, inshallah. It reminds me, Fazil Barelvi says, Rahmatullah Alayhi says, तुझसे दर से सग, तुझसे दर से सग से निस्बत मुझको, तुझसे दर से सग से है निस्बत मुझको, मेरी गर्दन में भी है दूर का दौरा तेरा। मेरी तुझसे दर से सग से है मुझको निस्बत, मेरी गर्दन में भी है दूर का दौरा तेरा। So we also see, so this was the relationship of Hazrat Ghaus Pak and Hazrat KHAWJA. Hazrat KHAWJA, when he was only 15 years of age, his parents had left this mortal world forever. First it was his mother, and then at the age of 15 years, his father also left this mortal world. So he was now an orphan. And what was left for him, that was one garden, a fruit garden, and a wheel was left for Hazrat KHAWJA as a property from his parents. Now he was taking care of the garden, and he was taking care of it himself. He would water it, he would take care, he would go inside the garden, because it was only property for him, for his livelihood. He would just take. But the same garden became the first point of the spiritual journey for Hazrat KHAWJA. I would like to narrate that event when there was a Majzoub, the famous spiritual saint. He was very famous in that area. His name was Hazrat Ibrahim Kanduzi Rahmatullahi Alayh. And it is said about this person that he would know about the people through his spiritual insight. And he would, because the guess of the spiritual people is always correct guess, whatever, because your signs of sin, signs of good deeds always being reflected, and with the power of Almighty Allah, because Allah says that when He says to angels that I will create Adam, and after that He says I created Adam with my own hands in Ijailun fil Ardi Khalifa. After that he says, and then says, I inhaled my own soul in Adam. That means we have the relationship with Allah, because his own soul was inhaled in Adam. When Hazrat Ibrahim Kunduzi, he entered the garden, and there was Hazrat KHAWJA, only of the age, a child, he was there. And it was habit of Hazrat KHAWJA to respect people, to respect all people, the poor people, and to take care of the people. And same happened, he respected Hazrat Ibrahim Kunduzi, and Ibrahim Kunduzi would know with the power of sight that this boy would become the guide for all. Hazrat KHAWJA, he I would say, for eating, he brought some grapes and gave it to Hazrat Ibrahim Kunduzi, and it is said that, one part of it that he chewed, and this chewed material became the spiritual initiator for Hazrat KHAWJA. What he chewed, this Hazrat Ibrahim Kunduzi, he put it inside the mouth of Hazrat KHAWJA, and it is said that all veils were taken away, and something happened to Hazrat KHAWJA. That means the wheels, sacred wheels, which were in front of your eyes, and you could see something new. What happened there, and what happens at that time? it's very sacred. Until you don't enter in this game, I would say this spiritual game, you don't enter and you don't recognize, you don't yourself see what happens there. It's very difficult to narrate it in words what happens. But one can say that it reminds me the verses of Hazrat Hazrat Shairi Mashriq, Hazrat Allama Iqbal says, मुझसे खबर न पूछ, मुझसे खबर न पूछ hijab wujud ki, that means something about the wheel of the being. मुझसे खबर न पूछ hijab wujud ki, शाम फिराक सुबह थी मेरी नमूद की. You can understand with this verse that exactly what's this all about. Maybe something happens, maybe something was seen at it reminds me that I could guess that what would have been the process that time when Hazrat Ibrahim Kanduzi met Hazrat KHAWJA. It was, we would like to go ahead because the light of the studio is gone and it reminds, but I would like to narrate one verse. What would have happened? What would have what he would have seen? Like Allama Iqbal says, "Zameen ko tha dawa कि मैं आसमां हूँ, ज़मीन को था दावा कि मैं आसमां हूँ, मकान कह रहा था कि मैं लामकां हूँ। ज़मीन को था दावा कि मैं आसमां हूँ, मकान कह रहा था कि मैं लामकां हूँ। गर्ज इस कदर ये नज़ारा था प्यारा कि नज़ारगी हो सरापा नज़ारा। मलक आज़माए थे परवाज़ अपनी, मलक आज़माए थे परवाज़ अपनी, जबीनों से नूरे अज़ल आशिकारा। कज़ा को जो देखा, बका को जो देखा, कज़ा हो गई वो, कज़ा थी शिकारे फना हो गई वो। Maybe what happens at that time, what you believe that makan and la makan. Makan says that I'm la makan. Earth says that I'm sky. What sky is? Sky actually means upwards and earth is downwards, but when we look from the moon towards earth, the direction towards earth is upwards, and when we look towards moon from earth, the direction towards moon is upwards, and when we go to the side and direction towards left is upwards. It's exactly the example of a balloon. You just consider a balloon and you just consider earth inside the balloon, and you go around the earth, you reach in every direction, and the upwards of the balloon is upwards for everywhere, x, y, z and all axes. You go to extreme of any axis, the opposite of that axis is always upwards. The opposite of that axis is always upwards. Thanks, light is there. So you cannot explain. Maybe same thing happened, same reality was seen by Hazrat KHAWJA when he met Hazrat Ibrahim Kanduzi rahmatullahi alayh. And Ibrahim Kanduzi now left. I would say one example of this, that maqam means the thing which occupies place, it's a matter, and la maqam means that the thing, first it's nothing at all, nothing at all, la maqam. But for spiritual people, they observe something different. And when Ibrahim Kanduzi left the garden, he left everything for Hazrat KHAWJA. What happened afterwards? Hazrat KHAWJA, he sold his whole property and distributed among the poor, distributed among the needy people. And this was the thing, this was the real point, this was the real change of Hazrat KHAWJA. What was there? What philosophical philosophical point is there? Is this that we have to see exactly where is the point? Why did he sell his whole property? What was seen by him? Something strange, something miraculous, something wonderful was seen by Hazrat KHAWJA. That's why he did sell his whole property and distribute it among the poor. So this was the first event which happened with Hazrat Ibrahim Kunduzi rahmatullahi alayh. So he happened to be the first guide and master. Even if I don't believe that Hazrat KHAWJA needs an initiator, needs a guide, or he needs to be the disciple of someone, because he was a born saint, he was a mother's wali, so there was no need, but he set an example for the coming generations, for the people of his silsila, that you need to be in the discipline and you need to be in the suhbat of someone, in the influence of someone. Once you are in the influence, then you get everything, because KHAWJA says when he was in the service for his master for long 20 years, it was his influence which guided him in every respect, at every place. As Hazrat Maulana Rum says that Suhbate, he says about this Yak Zamane Suhbate Ba Awliya Behtar Sad Sala Ta'at Beria. That means if you spend one moment in the influence of the friend of Allah, in the influence of the wali of Allah, that's better than your best prayers which you do for 100 years. Behtar as sad salata beria. That means the prayers which is truly the prayers by heart, the devotion by heart, the meditation by heart. That's to sit in the influence of that saint, in the influence of that saint for only one moment, that is better than 100 years. Why we saw it? When only by one chilled material everything was seen, the wheels were, sacred wheels were lifted, they were taken away, and Hazrat KHAWJA saw something better. Thus, his age almost was some 100 years, because when you see the birth date, that is 537 Hijri, and when you see the last date, that is 633, that counts to be 100 years. Now the titles of Hazrat KHAWJA. His titles were a lot, but before that I would like to narrate you why Hazrat left this place now. Because first he was in Sanjar, the greater Khorasan, but it was, I would say, some kilometers away. It was a village, it was a part of Khorasan, but it was not the main place of Khorasan. Now Hazrat KHAWJA, he went to Khorasan, and he went also Samarkand, he went to Bukhara. And these three places were taken by Hazrat KHAWJA only because to study, only because to go through the studies. What was then study? That was about Quranic studies, hadith, fiqh, what he had studied before, and maybe spirituality and something more. That means Hazrat Hisamuddin rahmatullahi alayh and other teachers, they were real guides for Hazrat KHAWJA. In his spiritual journey, when he left now, he distributed his whole property in the poor, among the poor, and he left for searching the truth. Now one event I would like to narrate that's very important, that event that when he met Hazrat, his master, his name was Hazrat Khwaja Usman Haruni rahmatullah. That Harun is the place, it's a place there, a small village was it, but it was a blessed place, and people around from far away places, they would come to this place to attend and be in the influence of Hazrat Khwaja Usman Haruni rahmatullah. And when he gave him the work, the first work about the recitation and zikr, after that he came, because it will be in second part, and Khwaja Usman Haruni says him that what he sees, because first what he saw, then next time he says when he put his fingers in front of his eyes, and then Khwaja Sahab said that I see 18,000. I would say that this is one word, 18,000 words. This is one universe, 18,000 universes. Then Hazrat Khwaja Usman Haruni said that you have been bestowed everything. That's why I did say that Zameen ko tha dawa ki main asman hu, makan keh raha tha ki main la makan hu. That means when you see different things what you don't see in real world, then something different happens to you. Now, the spiritual hierarchy, I would like to give I would like to throw a bit light on that. The spiritual hierarchy starts, the real hierarchy starts, even if Hazrat Ibrahim Kanduzi was there, but it starts with the name of Hazrat Khwaja Usman Haruni Rahmatullahi Alayh. Khwaja Usman Haruni Rahmatullahi Alayh. Then it goes to Hazrat Abul Ishaq Chisti Rahmatullahi Alayh. Abul Ishaq Chisti name is very important name in the spiritual genealogy of Hazrat Khwaja Muinuddin Chisti Rahmatullahi Alayh. And I would like to say, because Hazrat Mimshad Rahmatullahi Alayh, the master of Hazrat Abul Ishaq Chisti, he was not Abul Ishaq Chisti Rahmatullahi Alayh, his name was Abul Ishaq Shami Rahmatullahi Alayh. When he came and he took bayat of Hazrat his master, and his master said, what is your name, after completing the formalities of bayat, and then he said that my name is Abul Ishaq. And then he says to him that from now onwards you will be called Chisti. Then it is said that Abul Ishaq, he migrated to the place Chist. Then he stayed there and he started zikr, meditation and guidance for his disciples and his murids onwards. And it is also said that see the insight of the spiritual people, and he said in that to Abul Ishaq Chisti, whoever till doomsday enters your silsila will be called Chisti. That's why we have the name Khwaja Muinuddin Chisti. Chisti is famous for this event, that Abul Ishaq, because Abul Ishaq was among the masters in the spiritual hierarchy. So 15 spiritual guides we see in the Shajara of Hazrat Muinuddin Chisti Rahmatullahi Alayh. That Shajara also ends at the hands of Hazrat Shahi Vilayat, Hazrat Aliul Murtaza Radiallahu Ta'ala Anhu. That means first it starts with Hazrat Khwaja Usman, Hazrat Muinuddin Chisti Rahmatullahi Alayh, Hazrat Khwaja Usman Haruni Rahmatullahi Alayh. Then you reach to Hazrat Abul Ishaq, you reach to Hazrat Sharifuddin Chisti Rahmatullahi Alayh. Then you go to Hazrat Nasiruddin Chisti Rahmatullahi Alayh. Then Hazrat Abu Muhammad Chisti Rahmatullahi Alayh. Then onwards you reach to Hazrat Yusuf, first Hazrat Nasiruddin Chisti Rahmatullahi Alayh, then Hazrat Yusuf Chisti Rahmatullahi Alayh. And onwards you see that you directly reach to onwards from now leaving one onwards, then you reach to Hazrat Abul Ishaq Chisti, then you reach to Hazrat Ibrahim Adham Rahmatullahi Alayh. Then ultimately Hazrat Khwaja Hassan Basri Rahmatullahi Alayh, and who was the disciple who had taken this bayat from Hazrat Amirul Mu'mineen, Hazrat Aliul Murtaza Radiallahu Ta'ala Anhu. That this is a spiritual genealogy of Hazrat Khwaja Muinuddin Chisti. That was the this Shajara from father's side, and we discussed Shajara from mother's side. We discussed one event, very important event, that is with Hazrat Ibrahim Kanduzi Rahmatullahi Alayh. Then a reference of one event that was with Hazrat Khwaja Usman Haruni Rahmatullahi Alayh. And inshallah, we will see in our next talk. We'll see the more spiritual, the actual spiritual life. The life started with Hazrat Khwaja Usman Haruni in detail in our next part. And this is the master which changed the whole life, whole style of Hazrat KHAWJA KHWAJAgan Rahmatullahi Allah. And it reminds me the verses of Hazrat Maulana Room. He says that Maulavi hargiz nashud Maulai Room ta gulame Shams Tabrizi nashud. That means it was Maulana Room's destiny was shaped by Hazrat Shams Tabriz, and he would not have been Maulana Room because he had insight that in future with the name of Maulana Room he'll be famous. And he says to his coming generations that you see Maulana Room was only because of Shams Tabriz. And there is an event I would like to explain this event, why we have to take the discipleship of someone. That is one event, it reminds me, he says Maulana Room about Hazrat Khazir alayhi salam and Hazrat Musa alayhi salam, their interview, their meeting, with one verse that Gar Khazir dar bahar kishti ro shkan sad durusti dar shikaste khizrahan. That means even if Khazir alayhi salam made one hole in the ship, that means one mistake was done, but he says that with that one mistake there were 100 corrections, and onwards you know the whole this event of Hazrat Khazir alayhi salam and Hazrat Musa alayhi salam, and this was ilm ludhani, as Baba Dawoodi's khake say, chun khuda ilm ludhani kar talim az-zimar, chun khuda ilm ludhani kar talim az-zimar, bahr asrar ilahi alim amhar shudast. Thus, at the end I would say of this talk, because the next talk will say that Hazrat KHAWJA KHWAJAgan was going to become that spiritual abode. If ever by chance any bird would fly over his this spiritual tomb, that bird will become Baz, the king of birds. As it reminds me the meeting of Hazrat Amir Khusru with Hazrat Nizamuddin Awliya Mahbubillahi Sheikhul Mashaikh radiallahu ta'ala anhu. He says one verse from Amir Khusru, another was completed by Hazrat Nizamuddin Awliya. This was, I think this was the first, according to my insight, the first verse of Hazrat Amir Khusru. But he says that Tu an shah hai ki bar aibwan kasrat, tu an shah hai ki bar aibwan kasrat, kabutar ghar nashinat baz gardu. Even if you are that king, and if by chance the pigeon, by chance the parrot, by chance any bird, with this example, flies over your tomb, and he will become Baz, the king of birds. Shaheen. So, we'll see in our next part, and subscribe our videos when you watch on YouTube. And you can also note my address, bukharihamid786 @gmail.com. So see you in our next talk. Till then, goodbye with Sam, with the next part with Hazrat KHAWJA KHWAJAgan, his life with Hazrat Khwaja Usman Haruni. So see you in the next talk. Till then, goodbye. Thank you.